Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Nar Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttam shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Following are the translations by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto-1, Chapter-7, titled The Son of Droṇa Punished. Text 1. Rishi Shaunak asked, O Suta, the great and transcendently powerful Vyasadeva heard everything from Sri Narad Muni. So after Narad's departure, what did Vyasadeva do? Text 2. Sri Suta said, on the western bank of the river Saraswati, which is intimately related with the Vedas, there is a cottage for meditation at Samya Prasha, which enlivens the transcendental activities of the sages. Text 3. In that place, Srila Vyasadeva, in his own ashram, which was surrounded by berry trees, sat down to meditate after touching water for purification. Text 4. Thus, he fixed his mind, perfectly engaging it by linking it in devotional service, bhakti yoga, without any tinge of materialism, and thus he saw the absolute personality of Godhead, along with his external energy, which was under full control. Text 5. Due to this external energy, the living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature, thinks of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries. Text 6. The material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature, which is in relation to the supreme truth. Text 7. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. Text 8. The great sage Vyasadeva, after compiling the Srimad Bhagavatam and revising it, taught it to his own son, Srila Shukadeva Goswami, who was already engaged in self-realization. Text 9. Sri Shaunak asked Suta Goswami, Sri Shukadeva Goswami was already on the path of self-realization, and thus he was pleased with his own self. So, why did he take the trouble to undergo the study of such a vast literature? Text 10. Suta Goswami said, all different varieties of Atma Ramas, those who take pleasure in the Atma or spirit self, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls. Text 11. Srila Shukadev Goswami, son of Srila Vyasadeva, was not only transcendently powerful, he was also very dear to the devotees of the Lord. Thus he underwent the study of this great narration, Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 12. Suta Goswami thus addressed the rishis headed by Shaunak. Now I shall begin the transcendental narration of the Lord Sri Krishna and topics of the birth, activities, and deliverance of King Parikshit, the sage amongst kings, as well as topics of the renunciation of the worldly order by the sons of Pandu. Text 13 and 14. When the respective warriors of both camps, namely the Kauravas and the Pandavas, were killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and the dead warriors obtained their deserved destinations, and when the son of Dhritarashtra fell down lamenting, his spine broken, being beaten by the club of Bhimasen, the son of Dronacharya, Ashwathama, beheaded the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi and delivered the heads as a prize to his master, foolishly thinking that he would be pleased. Duryodhan, however, disapproved of the heinous act, and he was not pleased in the least. Text 15. Draupadi, the mother of the 5 children of the Pandavas, after hearing the massacre of her sons, began to cry in distress with eyes full of tears. Trying to pacify her in her great loss, Arjun spoke to her thus. Text 16. O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahman, after beheading him with arrows from my Gandiv bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then, after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath standing on his head. Text 17. Arjun, who is guided by the infallible Lord as friend and driver, thus satisfied the dear lady by such statements. Then he dressed in armor and armed himself with furious weapons, and getting into his chariot, he set out to follow Ashwathama, the son of his martial teacher. Text 18. Ashwathama, the murderer of the princes, seeing from a great distance Arjun coming at him with great speed, fled in his chariot, panic-stricken, just to save his life, as Brahma fled in fear from Shiva. Text 19. When the son of the Brahman, Ashwathama, saw that his horses were tired, he considered that there was no alternative for protection outside of his using the ultimate weapon, the Brahmastra, nuclear weapon. Text 20. Since his life was in danger, he touched water in sanctity and concentrated upon the chanting of the hymns for throwing nuclear weapons, although he did not know how to withdraw such weapons. Text 21. Thereupon a glaring light spread in all directions. It was so fierce that Arjun thought his own life in danger, and so he began to address Lord Sri Krishna. Text 22. Arjuna said, O my Lord Sri Krishna, you are the almighty personality of Godhead. There is no limit to your different energies. Therefore, only you are competent to instill fearlessness in the hearts of your devotees. Everyone in the flames of material miseries can find the path of liberation in you only. Text 23. You are the original personality of Godhead who expands himself all over the creations and is transcendental to material energy. You have cast away the effects of the material energy by dint of your spiritual potency. You are always situated in eternal bliss and transcendental knowledge. Text 24. And yet, though you are beyond the purview of the material energy, you execute the four principles of liberation, characterized by religion and so on, for the ultimate good of the conditioned souls. Text 25. Thus you descend as an incarnation to remove the burden of the world and to benefit your friends, especially those who are your exclusive devotees and are constantly wrapped in meditation upon you. Text 26. O Lord of Lords, how is it that this dangerous effulgence is spreading all around? Where does it come from? I do not understand it. Text 27. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Know from me that this is the act of the son of Droṇa. He has thrown the heims of nuclear energy, Brahmastra, and he does not know how to retract the glare. He has helplessly done this, being afraid of imminent death. Text 28. O Arjun, only another Brahmastra can counteract this weapon. Since you are expert in the military science, subdue this weapon's glare with the power of your own weapon. Text 29. Sri Suta Goswami said, Hearing this from the personality of Godhead, Arjun touched water for purification, and after circumambulating Lord Shri Krishna, he cast his Brahmastra weapon to counteract the other one. Text 30. When the rays of the two Brahmastras combined, a great circle of fire, like the disk of the sun, covered all outer space and the whole firmament of planets. Text 31. All the population of the three worlds was scorched by the combined heat of the weapons. Everyone was reminded of the Samvartaka fire, which takes place at the time of annihilation. Text 32. Thus, seeing the disturbance of the general populace and the imminent destruction of the planets, Arjuna at once retracted both Brahmastra weapons, as Lord Shri Krishna desired. Text 33. Arjun, his eyes blazing in anger like two red balls of copper, dexterously arrested the son of Gautami and bound him with ropes like an animal. Text 34. After binding Ashwathama, Arjun wanted to take him to the military camp. The personality of Godhead Shri Krishna, looking on with his lotus eyes, spoke to Arjuna in an angry mood. Text 35. Lord Shri Krishna said, O Arjun, you should not show mercy by releasing this relative of a Brahman, Brahma Bandhu, for he has killed innocent boys in their sleep. Text 36. A person who knows the principles of religion does not kill an enemy who is careless, intoxicated, insane, asleep, afraid, or devoid of his chariot. Nor does he kill a boy, a woman, a foolish creature, or a surrendered soul. Text 37. A cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being. Otherwise, he will go down by his own actions. Text 38. Furthermore, I have personally heard you promise Draupadi that you would bring forth the head of the killer of her sons. Text 39. This man is an assassin and murderer of your own family members. Not only that, but he has also dissatisfied his master. He is but the burnt remnants of his family. Kill him immediately. Text 40. Suta Goswami said, although Krishna, who was examining Arjun in religion, encouraged Arjun to kill the son of Dronacharya, Arjun, a great soul, did not like the idea of killing him, although Ashwathama was a heinous murderer of Arjuna's family members. Text 41. After reaching his own camp, Arjun, along with his dear friend and charioteer, Sri Krishna, entrusted the murder unto his dear wife, who was lamenting for her murdered sons. Text 42. Sri Suta Goswami said, Draupadi then saw Ashwathama, who was bound with ropes like an animal and silent for having enacted the most inglorious murder. Due to her female nature and due to her being naturally good and well behaved, she showed him due respects as a Brahman. Text 43. She could not tolerate Ashwathama's being bound by ropes, and being a devoted lady, she said, release him, for he is a Brahman, our spiritual master. Text 44. It was by Dronacharya's mercy that you learned the military art of throwing arrows and the confidential art of controlling weapons. Text 45. He, Dronacharya, is certainly still existing, being represented by his son. His wife Kripi did not undergo a sati with him because she had a son. Text 46. O most fortunate one, who know the principles of religion, it is not good for you to cause grief to glorious family members who are always respectable and worshipful. Text 47. My lord, do not make the wife of Dronacharya cry like me. I am aggrieved for the death of my sons. She need not cry constantly like me. Text 48. If the kingly administrative order, being unrestricted in sense control, offends the Brahman order and enrages them, then the fire of that rage burns up the whole body of the royal family and brings grief upon them all. Text 49. Suta Goswami said, O Brahmanas, King Yudhishthir fully supported the statements of the queen, which were in accordance with the principles of religion and were justified, glorious, full of mercy and equity and without duplicity. Text 50. Nakul and Sahadev, the younger brothers of the king, and also Satyaki, Arjun, the personality of Godhead Lord Shri Krishna, son of Devaki, and the ladies and others all unanimously agreed with the king. Text 51. Bhima, however, angrily disagreed with them and recommended killing this culprit, who had murdered sleeping children for no purpose and for neither his nor his master's interest. Text 52. Chaturbhuja, the four-armed one, or the personality of Godhead, after hearing the words of Bhima, Draupadi and others, saw the face of his dear friend Arjun, and he began to speak as if smiling. Text 53 and 54. The personality of Godhead Shri Krishna said, a friend of a Brahman is not to be killed, but if he is an aggressor, he must be killed. All these rulings are in the scriptures, and you should act accordingly. You have to fulfill your promise to your wife, and you must also act to the satisfaction of Bhimsen and me. Text 55. Suta Goswami said, just then Arjun could understand the motive of the Lord by his equivocal orders, and thus with his sword he severed both hair and jewel from the head of Ashwathama. Text 56. He, Ashwathama, had already lost his bodily lustre due to infanticide, and now, moreover, having lost the jewel from his head, he lost even more strength. Thus he was unbound and driven out of the camp. Text 57. Cutting the hair from his head, depriving him of his wealth, and driving him from his residence are the prescribed punishments for the relative of a Brahman. There is no injunction for killing the body. Text 58. Thereafter, the sons of Pandu and Draupadi, overwhelmed with grief, performed the proper rituals for the dead bodies of their relatives. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.